Good morning. Easter weekend. Spring has sprung, but no rest for the wicked. It's been a busy week this week. Been to London, Luxembourg, Saarlouis, London, and then back to Sandbach. We have adopted a dog. You might have seen some photos of the beautiful Layla on some of the social media channels, and she's very, very scared. She's never lived in a house. First few days, so she's sort of isolated from the rest of the chaos in the house, just getting used to the noises and the sounds in a little safe space in the other room. But starting to relax a little bit now. So I'm just going to come here. Got a beer to do, a few other bits and pieces. I'm going to brew Moston Dragon today. Bit of a tidy up. I was in last night, washed a load of casks and got a few things ready. We're racking the Get Locky as well into both keg and cask this time because the cask went down very well at the King's Lock. So we'll get that done. That might be tomorrow. See how we get on for day, and then I'm going to go back and chill out with Layla. So Moston Dragon bitter. This one worked straight off the bat. It's a nice simple recipe again, as most of our beers are. Where are you? Over there. As most of our beers are. 55 kilos of Maris Otter, which makes up pretty much all of the base malt. Don't overcomplicate a ham sandwich. Maris Otter, it just works. So 25 in a sack, so we are 2 full sacks, and then we'll weigh out the remaining 5 kilos from one of the open sacks that we've got. Number one. I'm going to have to order some malt soon. I'm down to how much I've got left now. At least a ton, but we're ripping through it. So, crushed Maris Otter. That's 50 in. Just weigh the remaining 5. 3.3. $55 in. Okay, so that is 3 kilos of Crystal 240, which smells great already. And then we've got just a little touch of Caramel 30. 1.8 kilos. 1.8. Let's give you a look at what we've got. So 55 kilos crisp, finest Maris Otter. 3 kilos of crisp again, Crystal 240, and 1.8 kilos of Caramel 30. Bit of a water treatment in this, not much. As I said before, our water's pretty neutral here, so we don't want to do anything too unusual with it. But the addition of a little bit of gypsum, a little bit of Epsom salt in this one. We'll do that next. And there's the water treatment. It's not a lot, is it? For probably close to 576 pints. Get those in. Might do an episode on water treatments one day, but essentially we're just adding some minerals that you're kind of missing from the water around here. You never rely on anybody else's mineral additions because your water will be different, but for the water here, to get this to the mineral content in the water to a level where we can either accentuate the hops or the malt, depending on the style of beer. There's various calculators you can use online, just Excel spreadsheet and some websites as well, which will just help you to balance that mineral content to make it suit your particular water, depending on the style that you brew. This is the best bitter, so that's what it is. And it's actually, for me, 22 of 22 of gypsum and 22 of Epsom salt. No other minerals required. 219 litres of finest Cheshire / North Wales water. The water source here actually comes from a combination of places. Some of it is from the River Dee, which runs through Chester and beyond. Some of it from Lake Vyrnwy in North Wales. And some of it is other groundwater sources. So again, depending on the season and what United Utilities are trying to do, it does vary. So we send it off to be tested periodically just to make sure that the mineral content hasn't changed too much. And it never really does, but it's worth keeping an eye on. Right, 223 did I say? Let's check. 219. Don't. Try again. 219. Set menu. Okay, and valves open. Valve closed. Start. So we are mashing this one at 68 Celsius. We're currently at 66, 189 litres in. And if you watch the last video, you'll know I'm aiming for temperature, not liquid volume. So if we get to what looks like 68, a little bit before the full volume of water is added, then I'm happy with that. I'd rather have the temperature right and worry about dealing with the volume later. Hardly any dough balls in this today. A couple little tiny ones, but that's all right, you can live with that. So I'm gonna 209. I'm just gonna stop her there. Stop her there. Just let that settle for a minute, the temperature, and then we'll have a little dip with the thermometer and see how we're looking. We're about 10 litres short of the target. The HLT, the hot liquor tank here, the water in there, which we've just added, was at 73.5 Celsius. Which, with the heat absorption of this mash tun, the ambient temperature today, i.e. the temperature of the grain that we just added, should, if the calculations are correct, should give us 68 in here. I'm glad I went in school for that particular maths lesson. 67, could do with a bit more, I think. Yep, let's go with the rest of the water. About 1 degree too low. So for 67, we're adding another 10 litres at 73.5. I can't work it out that quick in my head, but we'll go with whatever that says. 219, done. Let's give it a stir and see what we look like. Video. So we are currently 8.8, sort of swinging around in the breeze. Feels warmer than that, but however, that's what it is. Let's see what we get. So we're looking for 68. I mean, arguably close enough, but I'm just going to stick, we've got a bit of space at the top, and the mash thickness can stand it. I'm just going to stick another 10 litres or so in. I think that's good enough. We'll go for it. 0.2, 0.3 to vigor out. I can live with that, I think. I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference. One hour, and I will come back to you. In the meantime, let's stick the radio on. I've no idea what I do with stuff on the flatbed of the pickup, because I went out to take a photograph of that sign. $55 bingo. Okay, we are bang on now. 10:55. Let me just check the recipe sheet. It's had an hour and 10, so it's definitely done. Right. Change over. Close the port. Nothing in there. Turn the pump off. Then we get a little angle piece, so I can go straight into this port here. With that one on there. Spanner in the place where it should be. Okay, close that. Go. And that is a beautiful colour. Look at that, it's crystal clear. That's the grain bed doing its job. I'll give it a bit of a stir midpoint, particularly if the mash is a bit loose, just to redistribute. But sometimes, if you stir it too late, you do struggle with getting it to clear again before transfer, but I'm really pleased with that. That's beautiful. Colour's just right as well. Great. Okay. Right. As soon as we are, like last time, as soon as we're clear of the top of the wort, we'll set us spinning and start the sparge as well. And today the sparge is about 284.94 litres, all close enough. Basically we stopped when we got the right gravity, or we're at that point. We're very, very close to the top here, which is not particularly safe when it comes to boilovers, but we just watch it like a hawk, as you've seen before. So this sparge and transfer process takes about 45 minutes here. We're slowly adding water to rinse through the grains, and at the same time we're transferring the clear wort from the bottom and into the boil kettle, or the copper. We're pumping directly because I can, but you'll find at many breweries, probably most breweries, is there's an additional vessel, and the mash tun's drained through gravity into that vessel, and then the pump takes from that secondary or additional vessel, and that will avoid any mishaps where you're pumping too much and creating almost a vacuum really underneath the grain bed, and you start to pull the grain through, and if it sucks it too tight you get a stuck mash. Basically none of the liquid can penetrate through the grain bed, and then you got problems then, and a very, very long day. So we're just very, very careful with the pump speed. I've thought about doing it another way, but when we first inherited the equipment there wasn't one, so from day one we've done it like this, and it's working very well. Once I got a bit over enthusiastic with the pump and managed to get a stuck mash, so we'll try not to repeat that. We're currently just about submerged the heating elements, so as they're now underneath I can give it some power. Obviously we don't turn those on before they're immersed because I'll just burn them out. So now they're fully inside the liquid. That's on full power now. Given the amount of liquid on the top, I'm probably transferring a little bit too fast for the drain speed, so I've slowed it down about as far as I can. I'm just actually going to stop the water for a minute or two. We're 60 litres in, and we're just always monitoring the incoming work to make sure that we're not looking cloudy, because that's a sign that we're pulling too hard on the grain bed, and that still looks wonderful. So I'm just going to let that level drop a little bit, and then we'll resume the spray head. Okie dokes, so it's quiet now. Sparge is complete. We put the full amount of water in and sparged until the gravity of the runnings reached 1010. It drops and drops and drops as it becomes more and more dilute. 1010 is the point that I stop, just to make sure we're not pulling any additional bitterness and astringency through. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's just a habit that I've got into. So that left us about 40 litres short of the top line in there, which is normal for this recipe. And the gravity was higher than we'd expected at that point. So we added 40 litres of liquor, HLT, water in, which took us exactly to 1040 where we need, and we're right on the fill line. So everything's worked perfectly so far, and it's crystal clear, which is unusual. I think that's probably the timing of when I was running the circulation through. It was running a little bit longer this time. So that's now on its way towards the boil. Once we reach a boil, we're going to add the hops. There's some 60-minute additions. We have 455 gram of Fuggles / Fugles and 355 grams of East Kent Goldings. They go in together and they're in for the full duration of the boil. And then right at the end of the boil, we add 500 grams of Styrian Golding right at the end. 15 minutes before the end, I must remember to put the protofloc in, as I always forget. So I'll make a note now, set a timer, we'll wait for this to get to the boil and we can crack on. So let's get these hops weighed out. We have new bag. These bags are from Amazon. I'll put a link below. It's not an affiliate link, so you don't have to buy them through my link. Just buy them wherever if you want them. But they're massive. I mean, there's room in there. It's like a pillowcase size. There's room for more hops than I'm likely to put in any of the beers here. So we want 455 of Fuggle and 355 of Kent East Goldings, East Kent Goldings. 455. And 355 East Kent Goldings. Again, these are from Get Brewed. Get Brewed. Other retailers are available, but they're not as good as Johnny. Johnny. Sounds like I'm taking the piss, doesn't it? Got a bride. Stop it. Okay. There we go. Proto Flock. If you've never seen these, they're little tablets of, I think it's derived from seaweed. They're referred to as copper finings, not because there's copper in them, but because they go into your copper. So 3 of those. I used to use them at home when I was home brewing, and I'd lob a whole one in to about 30 litres, and you end up with like, looks like someone's dropped a cauliflower in the wort. You don't need that much really. Half of one of these or a third of one of these will probably do at home. But we're using 3 today, so I'll go put those by the kettle ready. So now we wait. We've got about 30 minutes, I think, until that's up to a boil. Now is the tidy up time, so we just get the hops that we've used away, make sure they're sealed, back in the freezer. Fuggles there, East Kent Golding, that's sealed, that can go away. I'm going to keep out the Styrian Goldings because we're going to need those at the end. I'll weigh those in a minute. Then we dig out the mash tun, get the grain in the boxes ready for Johnny, drain out any residual liquid that's in there. Get that all nice and shiny, clean the pipes down, give the pump a rinse through, ready for transferring to the fermenter. A fermenter needs a bit of sanitisation. It's cleaned and it's been causticed, but it's been standing for 2 weeks now, so we just need to make sure that's nice and sanitised inside. Then we'll fill it yeast in and get out of here until tomorrow probably, when we've got some racking to do. I'm not going to do that today. So what else is going on? We've got the upcoming Knutsford Beer Festival. I'm delivering the beer to them next week, so we'll be on there. They've invited me down to the opening night on Thursday, but I'm not able to make that due to work commitments and travel. That's a week on Wednesday, I think. Look it up, Knutsford Beer Festival. We are going on the Saturday session, Sarah and I, with some friends, I think. So we'll see any of you that are going there. Come say hi. The local event, which you may remember from last year, the Folk and Boat Festival, will go ahead. So our beer will be everywhere during that event. I hope it will be everywhere. Certainly all the regular pubs will be well stocked. We'll make sure of that. So fingers crossed that'll be a good event as well for us and for everybody else that attends. I think they've scaled it back a little bit from last year. A lot of money was spent on headline acts, I think, last year that possibly they didn't recover. So I think it's going to be a little bit more low-key this year. But a great event all the same. Short week this week. Friday was a day off the day job, so obviously did a little bit of work around here, got some cleaning done, collected some empties, dropped a few beers off. Went back up to Congleton. We delivered another keg of Get Lucky to the Queen's Head. Thank you guys up there. Your customers smashed through the last one in no time at all. So I'm glad they're enjoying it. We've also had additional orders from Bridge Street Ale House in Newcastle, Staffs. He's ordered another 3, which we delivered on Friday, so they should be on hopefully sometime soon. He has a lot of beer in there. They go through a lot of beer. It's a lovely place if you like a bit of variety. Plenty on tap. Bridge Street Ale House, Newcastle. And obviously the usual suspects reordering. We're back on at the Beer Emporium today. Just saw a text earlier from one of the locals, and they are enjoying a pint down there right now, so that's good. Murgy Straight is on. Obviously the Newton keeps on going. Doubled their intake from us this week. The boats have started to come past Easter holiday, so great little beer garden there, and obviously the King's Lock as well, where we're a pretty consistently regular feature there now. Again, as the summer months or the spring months are approaching, the narrow boats come out, and people want to sit outside in the sunshine. It's a lovely day today as well. Sarah picked up Layla on Wednesday from a great little charity called Paw Prints to Freedom. I'll put their link below as well. And we'd originally been looking at adopting a dog because obviously we lost Tom a few weeks ago now, 8-9 weeks ago now. And poor little Eddie's, he needs some company. You know, he's used to being part of a double act. So we've been looking for other whippets, greyhounds, Italian greyhounds, lurchers, something of a similar breed because we're used to that. And we found a dog called Justin at Paw Prints to Freedom, just near to Nantwich. If you are looking for to rehome a dog, I would definitely take a look at them if you're in this area particularly. And we went down to see Justin, and he'd been very badly treated. A lot of the dogs they have come in from outside of the UK, Romania in particular. I'm not sure of Justin's origins, but he'd obviously been used for fighting or hunting, not sure. They'd cut half of his ears off, chopped them in half basically, covered in cigarette burns. And this poor dog is really in need of a loving home. The problem that we had, we took Eddie with us. They did not get on at all. It is listed on the website that Justin's suitable for a house with another dog, and maybe he'll just get on with another dog, but he certainly didn't get on with Eddie, and Eddie didn't get on with him. So unfortunately, we would have loved to have taken him, but we couldn't. But we did take Layla, who we're not sure what breeding she is. I think she's part German Shepherd, maybe part Black Labrador. Just looking at her this morning, there's a little bit of Doberman maybe going on in there, I'm not sure. You get these DNA tests, so we might do that, but it doesn't really matter at this stage. So she's coming to our house, first time in a house, and is basically residing in her safe space at the moment. The guidance that we've had from Paw Prints to Freedom was to keep her isolated for a few days, keep her away from the other dog, just let her acclimatise and get used to the surroundings and the noises and everything else. So she's spending a lot of time in a crate, just while she's understanding the environment around her. We've let her out a couple of times on her own into the main living area where we are, just to sort of stretch her legs and go for a pee, etc. And she's warming to us a little bit now. It's only day 3, right? So, but the late start today, I didn't get here till 12 because we were just sitting, staring and looking at each other, and having little treats and praising when she went outside, that kind of thing. So. Yeah, I'm looking forward to her relaxing, and maybe you'll see her in the brewery. Hopefully, I couldn't bring Eddie down because he will run because he's a whippet, and that's what they do. But hopefully, Layla will be a little bit more disciplined with her emotions if she sees a rabbit a mile away. We'll see. Long journey ahead though. But yeah, Paw Prints to Freedom. You should definitely take a look. So, we're just about to pump the boiling hot wort through the pump, through the heat exchanger and back in, really just to give all the inside of the pipe, so a very high temperature scorching. They've all been cleaned thoroughly and rinsed thoroughly. The heat exchange has also been caustic and rinsed thoroughly. So I could connect that right on, but what I tend to do, just in case there's any water, rinse water left, there shouldn't be, just in case there's any rinse water left, I should normally dump the first couple of litres into this bucket until we get beer coming through. So or wort coming through, I should say. So we'll give that a go now. Cold, still cold. That's now hot. Yeah, that's hot. So, any of the water that was left has now been pushed through, hopefully. We'll get that back on the top there, tighten that up, and then we'll let that run for 5 minutes before we add the proto-flock. Because the effect of the proto-flock will be negated by passing it through the heat exchanger. The proto-flock kind of coagulates all the rubbish together, and obviously if I'm whizzing it through the heat exchanger, it's going to break it all up into bits again. So we'll let that pump now. This does have the effect of cooling down the the cold water's not running through the heat exchanger yet, but simply because it's a big cold slab of metal, it does have the effect of reducing the temperature of the boil. So I've put the other elements back on now as well, so we're back on full. We were down to 2 earlier. And then we'll just check that this pipe is in fact hot. Woo, yes it is. And we have our proto-flocks ready there. Wait for the timer. Right, we are transferring. You've just missed Trampus, for those Middlewich folk watching. He's just been in and played me a little tune on his tin whistle. I heard him coming playing it down the road actually. He was coming in because he's just learned the price of my beer's gone up. And I said, it's nothing to do with me, Trampus. If some of the pubs locally need to put their prices up, then they need to put their prices up. Electricity costs, staff costs, all of the other costs they've got to deal with. Fortunately, we're in good shape. When we first started selling these casks, 12 or 13, 14 a month, factored into our sell price to the pubs is the cost of the overhead, the rent, the electricity, everything else. As we've scaled a little bit now, we're shipping more casks out of the door, delivering more casks to pubs. That overhead's divided into a greater number of units. So I felt like our prices were a little high when we first started. But actually now they're broadly in line with everybody else because everybody else has come up to meet us. What really matters is that bottom line and making sure that we're just generating a little profit every month so that we can reinvest, and that is the case. So if the prices are going up locally, it's not being driven by us for this beer. I'm not saying we're not going to put the prices up at some point, but right now I don't see any reason for us to. We're more profitable than we were to start with on the basis that we're selling more beer. And I'm comfortable with that. I don't want to make it any harder for the pubs than it needs to be. So no plans for price increases just yet. We are currently transferring at 21.6. So I'm just going to slow the pump a little. Not much, just a touch. Just to try and get below 20 to offset some of that boiling hot work that we put in to start with. Because like an idiot, I didn't switch the heat exchanger on. I know what I need to do. Final gravity check. And that saves me fishing a jug of it out later. Let's do that now while the temperature's about right. So before we do anything, let's just check what this temperature is, because these hydrometers are calibrated at 20, and I'm hoping I'm going to be about 20. 17.1. So I'm going to have to do a little adjustment for that. 42. 42. Right. 1.0. Oh, 1.0420 at 16.9, it says here. .0414. Target 1041. Target is 1041. Very, very slightly over. I'm alright with that. It's close enough. 1.0414. Let's put that into brew.com. Right, transfer is well underway. The Inkbird says we are at 26.8, so I'm not going to pitch the yeast yet. That's obviously because of that hot work that went in first because of my little faux pas. So we're now dropping work in at 17 degrees. That should balance it out by the time we're full. And then we'll get the yeast in. The yeast for today in Moston Dragon is Dehydrated Bond from WHC Labs. These are 500 gram vacuum packed bricks. The pitching instructions on here are between 40 and 100 grams per hectolitre, and we have 3.4, or will have 3.4 hectolitres in there, so that's somewhere between 100 and something and 340. Previously pitched half the pack, 250 grams. It's within the middle of the range that they've specified and works very well in this. This yeast is very similar to Fermentis SO4 if you're home brewers. Pretty neutral, doesn't add any additional taste to the beer. The description on the pack says clean, aggressive, and that it is. It starts quick. Clean, aggressive, attenuative, ABV tolerant, and highly flocculent. Well, ABV tolerance we're not really worried about with this. It's only a 4%er, but highly flocculent is good. It will drop, especially once we get the cold crash going. It drops like a stone and leaves very clear beer behind, which makes it a much nicer serve for a best bitter, as this is. So half the pack going in, but we're going to wait until the temperature of the contents is about right, and then we'll chuck her in. Right, I'm quite sure you don't want to watch me tidy up, so I'm going to wrap this one up here. We've got some racking to do there. The Get Locky into cask and keg. That's probably going to happen. I was going to say tomorrow, but it's Easter Sunday tomorrow. I might have a day off. We'll do that Monday, I think. So I'm going to rack into these, get them on the CO2 rig to carbonate, and finish any other bits to tidy up that we need to do. I'm going to pitch this yeast. I'm going to go home. I'm going to play with my new doggy. Have a great weekend, boys and girls. See you soon.